I'm here today to explain what a soil and water conservation district does, so that hopefully you'll know what we do and maybe can help us make the connection to our food shed, and we can partner together to make locally foods more profitable, more prevalent, for all the good reasons that you've heard today. So the Soil and Water Conservation District, since 1947, we've helped landowners put conservation on the land. We do this with technical, financial, and educational assistance. The district is run by 5-member board who are locally elected from the community. The community leaders, and their role is to chart the course for soil and water conservation and natural resource management. They do a 3-year term. They do this without pay. They guide the staff to implement the conservation programs, and your current board of supervisors are Homer Detweiler, Howard Yoder, Neil Babb, Andre Troyer, and Howard Yoder. Those are your fine. So it's very important that we have that local direction provided from the county. Our main function, again, is to install conservation practices that reduce soil erosion and reduce nutrient loss and improve the water quality. So why is that important, though? So I went to my one supervisor's farm today, and we picked up some things. And so, what is non-point source pollution? So, non-point source pollution is basically it's anything that's on the land that can be carried into our streams and water when it rains. So after it rains and it washes into our creeks, that is what we call non-point source pollution. So, for example, when a farmer tills the field, if he doesn't do no-till or conservation tillage, when the rain hits the soil, it hits the creek and the land, and it runs off. And I think we've all seen the Derby maybe look like this color. Well, it's not just dirt, because dirt will settle out over time, and dirt is natural. Dirt, God made dirt, right? But if there are any pesticides or herbicides or fertilizers, including your Miracle Grow, whatever you might put in your lawn, that's going to be attached to that soil, and that will get into the creek too. Suddenly, you're seeing those wonderful algae blooms. I think you've seen maybe at Lake Choctaw or some other lakes. Another thing we do promote is applying manure that's natural fertilizer, but sometimes a farmer might accidentally apply it a little too close to the creek, or maybe there's a blowhole in his tile, and again, when it rains, that goes into the creek. So, so now your creek looks like this, and now we get, this is not something you probably want to drink, right? So if your water looks like this, we get to now pay money to take this out of the water before we can drink it. And this is probably not water you want to swim or recreation in, right? Is that right? Are you sure? Because it looks pretty good to me. Well, it's good. Of course. You don't want that.
What? Where's the chaser?
So you never want to let 8-year-olds grab that afterwards, because then they get very dramatic. I want water. So we do like to educate our community in fun ways to help drive the lesson home about what is non-point source pollution, and get them interested in the value and importance of conservation. So what kind of conservation do we typically promote? So one is the grass and tree filter strips. Basically, it'd be 25 to 50 feet along a creek or stream. You plant it to grass or trees, and that helps trap sediment before it gets into the creek. Another typical conservation practice is called a grass to waterway. So if you have a gully erosion going through your field, we'll shape it up to a nice parabolic shape and plant it to grass, and that can carry the water safely to the creek without any more down cutting and creating that sediment with it. Third very common conservation practice is livestock fencing. So we help install fences along the stream. Then the cows aren't trampling the stream banks or eating all the trees and grass next to that stream bank, so it helps with bank erosion. And also, but not actually, that's coupled with an alternative water source. So why do the cows want to be in the creeks? They need to drink water. So if we have an alternative water source, such as a well or watering tanks, then they don't have to stand in the creek. They're not trampling on the fish habitat, and they're also not directly discharging pollution into the creek. So those are some very typical conservation practices. And how we get them installed is, one, we help pay for them, and also we provide incentives for people to try this. You're used to doing one way for a long time, it's hard to change. And how we fund this is most often through the USDA conservation programs, like CRP or Wetland Reserve programs. And so that's very nice. It's very important to this community because those are federal dollars coming here, and they provide funding to hire contractors to install. So we have a locals contractors list that appreciate the conservation programs, and they also fund the materials you'll need to install that practice. So if you're a local business that sells erosion control blankets or native grass seed, you benefit from these programs also. So our district, since we are locally represented, we help more practices get surveyed and applied and accepted into this program. So more conservation happens each year because we have staff to help people apply. Without us, then there'd be fewer practices being able to get signed up each year. And those are negative consequences, obviously, because that's less money coming to the county. And also, they say that the time to plant a tree is 100 years old. So every year that we delay putting in a conservation practice, that's something our future generations will pay the price for later. So we really want to put in the conservation today so that the benefits will last us and our future children, they'll have a legacy to carry on and also have the benefits of the area. So again, the districts, we don't just do USDA Farm Bill programs. It's important. We do love that, but we do have local ways of influencing what happens in the community. So just this week, I picked up a Gallia Soil and Water Conservation District newsletter, and I noticed that inside their newsletter, they actually have a Gallia County's farmer market application. So they've chosen in this county to partner with their local farm markets and help encourage people to become involved in their local markets and making it easier. So they're utilizing their resource and letting this organization advertise their newsletter, reaching out more people. So that's maybe something we decide